This week on Cosmo Times,
we've got plenty of tunes.
Yep, it's time for musicals again.
From the stage to the opera.
It's time for some song and dance around our Cosmo cities.
Hello, welcome to this week's Cosmo Times.
It is all about musicals, so we should be having some grand tunes and great numbers.
Yes, but I'm afraid my musical days on Cosmo Times are numbered.
Well, Dash, but you're a host, not a singer, right?
Hey, but I'm sure you would agree if I've had my fair share of musical moments on Cosmo Times. So long, farewell, time to say goodbye.
Anyways, it is sad to see you go, but maybe we can take a look at this week's Word on Street to get some inspiration for your next step in life.
I thought the question was, what movie do you think deserves to be made into a musical?
Yeah, that's right.
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, which film would best be adapted into a Broadway musical? I'm hitting the streets to find out what New Yorkers have to say to this question.
We think 50 Shades of Grey, potentially, yeah. I think Karen really enjoyed it as a musical. It'd be interesting for her.
50 Shades of Grey. Because they could do lots of dancing in the sex scenes.
I think maybe some sort of Jean-Luc Godard film, because maybe it'd be sort of unpopular.
The Enforcer. It's got a great story, and it's got Clint Eastwood in it, and it's justice, and justice prevails.
Well, Princess Bride, but they're doing that already. It's the perfect. It's already written for a musical. Beyond that, something feel good but a little edgy. Maybe Juno? Are they doing that?
No,
why not?
Be good. Matrix. Matrix would be a good one. Yeah.
Why the Matrix?
Because I watched it the other day and I think, yeah. Keanu Reeves, yeah, he'd be right.
The Departed. The Departed, I mean, is one of my favorite ones of all time, and it's a huge plot twist and, you know, a lot of opportunities for dramatic tunes.
Do you think that, who do you think would be great on Broadway to star in that?
That I would think would be a Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's, you know, he's starred in a lot of good roles and had a lot of good movies recently, and I think he'd be a great fit for that.
Taking inspiration from the big screen onto Broadway is not going to be that hard for New Yorkers. They're looking for something interesting that has a plot turn and very prevalent actors. Now, as for me, I would totally take a Disney movie, Finding Nemo, and make that a musical. I think it'd be fun to watch and very colorful. Reporting from New York, I'm Christy Cummings.
Hello from Melbourne, where this week we are at IMAX, one of the biggest screens in the world, to ask people what movies they think should make the transition to musicals. Let's go and find out.
It'd be fun to see a Die Hard musical. Hands down, best Christmas story ever.
Star Wars would be a good one, if it's not already a musical.
Maybe Wolf of Wall Street, that would be interesting,
God,
you know, just like the sex, drugs, and, you know, all that, so that would be interesting.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Oh, when he grabs the gun, he's hiding the gun in the back, comes out, grabs it up. That'd be best.
Marigold Hotel actually would be fun. Yeah, that's true, because it's like, it's kind of Bollywood style and all that sort of stuff, so that could work well as in a musical environment. Yeah.
Maybe Breakfast at Tiffany's. Only because I feel like, because I've read the book and the movie's great, I feel like, because there's so many underlining like subtle things going on, and I feel like with music and singing, that could bring out so much more and just really have the audience connect with that a lot better than what it is right now. Yeah.
Do you know, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think many movies should be made into musicals, personally. I feel like when they do make them into movies, they're a bit of a flop sometimes. That's my opinion though. So.
Frozen, Tangled, or Cinderella, or Princess Tiana.
Requiem for a Dream.
Oh my God. No.
That's a pretty full-on musical, right?
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good choice. I mean, there's a lot going on in the movie. There's a lot to be said about the drug use or just the culture, and I mean, the acting in the film alone was phenomenal. So I think, you know, displaying that on a stage with music could really bring out a lot more of the like tones of what it's trying to say, you know, especially from the director's perspective.
So the question of what would make a good musical did stump people at first, but we did get some good suggestions. One for a popular children's hit, one for a comedy, and then a couple for films that have already made that transition from the screen to the stage.
Okay, so most people that I know loves a good musical, and the same goes for moviegoers. And when you put these two together, now that's a fusion. So our question for this week's Word on the Street is, what movie do you think should be turned into a musical? Let's go find out. 你认为什么电影可以改成音乐剧？
我觉得《海上钢琴师》可以啊，因为我觉得里面的音乐啊什么都很好听，然后我觉得整个电影来看的话，它的画面感也比较好，然后感觉也没有什么太多特技什么的。
之前看那个《博物馆奇妙夜3》，感觉不错，应该可以改编成音乐剧。我觉得里面有很多很丰富的人物性格，可以通过音乐剧的形式来表现出来。
我认为《冰雪奇缘》这一部可以改编成音乐剧，里面有很多很经典的曲目，比如《Let It Go》，然后再加上人物的性格比较鲜明，这个人物性格的转换也比较具有很大的可演性吧。
我觉得《大话西游》吧。因为它是一部很经典的电影，而且它有很多笑点，也很轻松。
那谁是松子的一生不错吧，很有冲击力的一部电影。这个电影首先这个色彩特别的强烈，特别明显，然后很有戏剧冲击力嘛。然后我觉得它音乐呢，大概就是类似于一种很忧郁的那种感觉。对。
我觉得那个剪刀手来的话，他的主演是那个约翰尼德普，以及巴斯陶德，那个有改编成音乐剧，然后那个是他演的。我觉得，如果剪刀手来的话，他来演的话，可能会更有一些经验，或者是更多的一些理解吧。
Well, there you have it. When it comes to a movie being adapted to a musical, everyone has a movie in mind. As for me, I would like to see Star Wars being turned into a musical. Just imagine Darth Vader singing, "I am your father." That's pretty dramatic. This is Christine for Shanghai Word on the Street.
Well, it looks like musicals go hand in hand with movies.
You know what movies should definitely be made into musicals? Kung Fu movies! Now that would be awesome.
What? Well, I think there might be a stretch even for musicals.
Nancy, you need to open your mind to the endless possibilities. Just wait for our city searchers. Now they push the boundaries.
Sure, but I did not know that musicals needed to push boundaries.
Don't go away because there's more Cosmo Times to come.
We raise the curtain on new age musicals in our cosmopolitan cities.
In this week's City Searches.
Right after the break.
Cosmo Time. Cosmo Time.
Welcome back to the show.
And now it's time for our city searches. First up, New York.
Yeah, you said something about pushing musical boundaries before?
That's right. Our New York team has found an installation opera, and it's going to change what you think of musicals.
Well, if Spider-Man can be a musical, I think I'm ready for anything.
Just you wait, Nancy. It's going to blow your mind.
Wow, it should be interesting.
When you think of musicals, you think of singing, dancing, and elaborate costumes, but today we're getting a brand new idea. Let's go check it out. Musicals of the 21st century aren't black and white. They fuse history, culture, music, dance, and more, creating a colorful experience for audience members. That's the idea behind Paradise Interrupted, the new installation opera that will premiere in May at the Spolita Festival in South Carolina.
An opera, in this sense, means to bring every art form together with a sung drama, with visual, with live music, and with a story that to be told.
We're not just making a Chinese opera, we're making a contemporary piece that we're taking inspirations from everything that we can think of and try to make it relevant for today's time.
Paradise Interrupted is inspired by the Chinese myth, the Peony Pavilion, and the Western myth, the Garden of Eden. The original opera follows a woman as she searches for the impossible ideal. She creates her world and the people in it through her voice as she tries to return to the garden. For director and production designer Jennifer Wenma, fusing unlikely elements started the artistic journey of the opera. Wenma is an Emmy-winning visual artist, awarded for her work on the opening and closing ceremony of the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
I was standing underneath one of my installations that's 60 feet long, 20 feet wide, tall, that had 6 tons of black plants hanging upside down in midair. And I was standing there in the space and I thought, you know, this will make a wonderful theatrical setting.
But don't let the black and white scenery fool you. The setting is full of color in its own way.
Chinese opera has this really ephemeral quality that typically set design is very simple. Everything is suggested by the singing and gesture and dancing and the lyrics, whereas the background is fairly left empty for your imagination. So here I wanted to use both of that ephemeral quality. At one moment, this garden grows out of nothing, fills your vision, and then it disappears into nothing again.
Once the visual elements for Paradise Interrupted were in place, it was time for the music, and composer Huang Ro was the man for the job. Ro's work has been performed by the New York Philharmonic, the Philadelphia Orchestra, the San Francisco Symphony, and more. For this show, Ro took on the challenge of fusing 600-year-old coon opera with contemporary Western music, but he had to take a new approach.
People like to divide it as East and West, and to us as a 21st century artist, I do think it's more about originality and more about how we see the world as what it is as today, which is a very globalization world.
To give Paradise Interrupted a modern twist, Ro fused traditionally Eastern and Western instruments into one harmonious sound.
You forget about, oh, that is a flute playing, oh, that is a cello playing, or that is a pipa playing, because it's the music that rises above all the type of names of the instruments. But it's the sound, how they interweaving with each other, how they mixing with each other.
So what were the challenges with creating Paradise Interrupted?
Gravity is a big one. How do you make a paper garden stand and have it grow out of nothing and then fall back to nothing?
How to put all these elements together as an entirety to make sense instead of just collaging them or have them as extra element. So no matter what kind of challenges we encounter, at the end it will always diminished.
On the stage at Paradise Interrupted, many worlds collide between the mythology, music, history, and art. For Huang and Jennifer, they want the same effect to happen with the audience members.
It's a personal psychological journey. It's less of a plot, story-based, but more about one's own internal search.
It is an opera for an universal audience, and it is our belief that it can be appreciated and enjoyed and understood by audience from all culture, all backgrounds.
As we've seen today, a musical is more than breaking into song. It's about combining unlikely elements to create a lasting impression both on and off the stage. Reporting from New York, I'm Christy Clemens.
What do you think, Nancy? Pretty conceptual, right?
Very eye-opening, but, you know, I'm more of a traditionalist.
You want something more traditional, huh? Then you're in luck, because our LA team has just the thing for you. They have found a classic movie turned musical.
Oh, sounds great. But I thought most of the great musicals are in New York?
Not anymore. Now, musicals know no boundaries. They're free as a bird, just like me in a little while.
That's take a look. Wait, you sure you're going to fly away? Wow, Disney's Newsies will begin performances in Hollywood. Why are we still waiting? Let's go and check it out. How long have you been working in?
I've been here since 2003, so in a couple months I'll be celebrating my 12th anniversary here.
Wow.
Yeah, but the theater is celebrating an even bigger anniversary. We're celebrating our 85th anniversary in Hollywood. The theater opened in June 4th of 1930. Alexander, this was the one of the last theaters built, curated, I should say, by Alexander Pantages. Right now there's only 3 official Pantages theaters remaining in the United States, and this is one of them. Newsies, the film, first came out in 1992, and from the very first group of kids went to go and see that film, and adults and families alike, the moment that movie came out, there was such a cult following behind it. Almost everybody immediately said, why isn't this on stage? Now, when Newsies first came out, it wasn't one of Disney's biggest successes in the theater, but it developed such a huge fan following when the soundtrack came out and kids were trying to do the dance numbers that Kenny Ortega choreographed. It took all this time, but then Disney was going through their catalog of movies and said, well, which one of these has the biggest fan appeal? And they went and took polls of all these audience members, and time again, the #1 film that came up was Newsies.
Shoes with matching laces, a permanent box at the Sheepshead races, a porcelain tub with boiling water, a Saturday night with the mayor's daughter. Look at me, I'm the king.
What other shows should our audience expect?
After Newsies will leave, then we will have the LA premiere of Motown the Musical, which was written by Berry Gordy himself. As you know, Berry Gordy is the founder of Motown, who discovered, dozens of powerhouse Motown personalities, jump-started all those careers. He wrote the book himself, and all of the music is pulled directly from the Motown catalog. We've also hosted the LA premiere of the mega hit, The Book of Mormon, and we've also had the LA premieres of Hairspray. We've had the LA premieres of Once the Musical. You name it. If it's playing on if it's playing on Broadway, it's probably going to play this theater.
Is there any famous people or other famous people?
Well, we also house the Academy Awards from 1950 to 1959. So Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz and Audrey Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart and Yul Brynner, all of those people, all of those famous celebrities from the golden age of Hollywood have all graced this stage and have all presented here. If there is a famous celebrity that has ever existed in Hollywood lore, they've been to this venue. I mean, this is a family-owned company. The Nederlanders have been around for over 100 years now. James M. Nederlander, who we fondly refer to as Jimmy, he owns our company. He is, he is dad. He owns our building, and
like the father of the
it's absolutely right. I mean, we feel like he's here all the time. It's a very close, warm environment, and it's good that our company has that culture because we feel like a family. We treat our customers like their family as well.
All your fantasies, you always knew that man and mystery were both in you.
I believe the entire cast will literally blow your mind away. I'm Shari, reporting from Los Angeles. If you don't want the musical fun to stop,
then don't change that dial.
Because after the break, we get an even deeper look into musicals.
In this week's Shanghai Sea Search.
Welcome back.
Okay, we just saw a lot of musicals just now. So, Mansi, what do you think is up next?
Oh, is this a trick question? Because obviously it's more musicals, right?
Correct. But I think you'll be very interested in this next segment.
Why is that?
Because here in Shanghai, we have our very own peach blossoms.
Oh, you mean the flowers? I love them. So it's a musical about flowers.
Not exactly, but it is sort of a first for musicals.
What do you mean by that?
Why don't you see for yourself?
Well, you got me interested.
Considered the first Suzhou musical, another blushing of the peach blossom created by the Suzhou Song and Dance Theater back in 2011 recently hit the stage for the original Chinese musical season at the Shanghai Culture Square.
其实这部剧是真正意义上苏州这个市里面的第一部音乐剧，因为当时院团改喜，想努力去尝试一些新鲜的东西，在苏州确实没有做音乐剧这个东西，所以说就请我们上海团队这边，作曲是上海的，然后导演我们都是上海团队过来的。因为我们毕竟新去的人不太了解苏州的一些特色，所以本地的像我们的另外一个导演周导，然后还有编舞啊等等各个方面的整个主创团队的基底都是苏州的。 然后我们达成两方的一个合作吧，去完成一个心里想做的一件事儿。毕竟是第一个音乐剧，想尝试一下，看看苏州这个文化可不可以做成。
荣获2013年度无门画派大赛金奖的作品是叶年的《桃花源》。
The musical tells the story of two generations of a women's school family. There's conflicts of interest, temptations of vanity, and love, all happening with the backdrop of Gusu culture.
你得恭喜我呀！等等，桃花源不是你画的，那可是爸爸的作品。哥，爸爸画，那不就是咱俩吗？再反正一笔又写出来一个叶子。我领奖去了啊！
在创作过程中，也是作曲老师我们一起下去采风，然后了解一些风土人情上的特点。因为他这个剧毕竟讲的是苏州这个无门画派的事儿，所以我们对这个画的一些研究还要了解的更多一点。因为我是北方人，更喜欢一些水墨的东西，是山呐、马呀什么这些更硬气一点的东西。但无门画派其实跟南北方的性格很像，他们的一些细的东西、细腻的东西是。 很漂亮，确实是我们可能走的是神韵，人家走的更为细腻、更美一点。
花心为柔，像你的情痛
姑苏文化表面上你看起来它非常的内敛，非常的含蓄，但是它有内心的一种刚强，有内心的一种张扬在这里。
经典，经典。 小心摔成碎片。
The music from the production was composed by famous composer Zhao Guang. Despite some hints of traditional music like erhu and pipa, the music is still done in a very pop style.
毕竟一想到这个桃花的东西，大家想到美，一往美的想，中国的咱们这个创作的思想观念上可能会往古典的走一点，所以当时我们很犹豫，所以当时作曲家那个赵光老师也是想了很久，这件事到底怎么完成。最后我们想到，毕竟音乐剧是一个新鲜的东西，尽可能走向一个市场化的东西，可能更被大众接受一点，不然这个故事本来偏压抑一点，你在音乐上要再偏古典，也可能怕观众接受度会差一些。
Another blushing of the peach blossom is actually playing in Shanghai in its 4th version. From its debut back in 2012, the creative team has sourced musical insiders and audiences to make some very big changes to the musical.
第一版 现在大概1个小时30分钟。这个剧情一开始确实有一些长，觉得可能也是我们导演组个人的问题，可能没有把这个节奏把控得很好。所以说我们现在想说，经过一些精简，把这个戏剧节奏提上来。毕竟故事就是这么个故事，然后主要看我们怎么讲嘛。所以说可能节奏讲得明快一些，音乐再好听点，可能让观众心情更愉悦一点。
现在跟最早的版本比起来，在叙事上更容易理解，然后在爱情上更为突出。比如说《亲情》这首歌也是首爱情歌曲，是我们第3次修改的时候增加的一首新的曲。这首曲就表现出男女主角刚刚相遇时，就感觉到对方这个人为何会带给你一种亲近的感觉。
At the end of the interview, the director admitted this still wasn't the final version of the production, and they would keep making changes to it. Needless to say, we're certainly expecting to see more and more polished versions of another blushing of the peach blossom in the future.
Don't you dare change that channel,
Because there's more Cosmo times to come.
as we check out what's been happening in the entertainment scene in this week's Creative Source.
Don't go away.
Cosmo time. Cosmo time.
Okay, it is time for Creative Source. So Dash, you have taken inspiration from our past episodes, right?
Yes, they've always been a source of inspiration for ideas, but for some strange reason, it hasn't helped my wallet much. Somehow, my ideas have not made any money.
Well, I think that has more to do with the person than the idea.
Hey, what is that supposed to mean? Doesn't this look like a face you could trust?
Okay, I think this is your last chance to get inspired.
To the ancient sounds of China's guqing, the aroma of traditional Chinese incense fills the air. Following the mysterious fragrance, we find ourselves in Ziyuan, set within the walls of a classic Shanghai alley. Set up much like a home, Ziyuan exudes a sense of intimacy, quiet, calm, and deeply traditional. It's like traveling back in time, where you can soak in the ancient forms of incense. For the owner, Zhao Chongyuan, it's also a place where she can express her love for this classic art form.
那因为我本身就非常喜欢中国的这个传统文化，2004年开始呢，我也自己去学习古琴啊什么，然后接触到这个文化以后，就发现它非常的博大精深。但是因为可能是这个历史的原因吧，就是有一段时间没有人去关注这一块内容。那同时呢，我又是一位女性，因为我觉得香的气质跟女性是非常吻合的，遇上了它以后就一发不可收拾。那最开始的时候呢，我是自己摸索一下。前2年的时候碰到我现在的老师吴清教授，那因为他对这个香文化有非常独到的一些研究啊，所以我就几乎是被折服了吧，然后就拜在了他的门下，开始正式的一个学习香的一个经历。
Incense follows a very deep culture with many variables. Scent is just one part. Its composition and the atmosphere it creates are a large part of its ancient heritage.
它包括大类来说分动物类的香、植物类的香。那动物类的香就是我们著名的麝香，麝香保心丸里面就有这味药，还有就是龙涎龙涎古人认为它是龙的口水变成的一种香药，那其实它是抹香鲸肠内的一种分泌物，它要经过上百年以上海水的腐蚀，然后纯化才能变成名贵的香料。还有植物香里面，当然最著名的一个是沉香，其实跟我们的中药是有关系的香药是一家嘛，皇帝会赐给大臣，大臣心脏不舒服，赐一点苏合香给他，对吧？那苏合香、乳香、没药等等，这一系列都称为香但是我们又说到香文化，就是中国这个香文化，刚才我们提到非常的博大精深，它是包括了我们第一个用香的方式刚才我们讲到种类，它现在还有方式还有用香的器具用香的礼仪等等，这一系列所有的综合起来一个历史文化内容，我们可以把它简单称为香文化。
The art of making incense is a unique craft, one that Zhao Chongyan has devoted herself to.
今天给大家分享的是宋明两季流行于文人士大夫家中进士品香的香席仪式。我们在这套香席上可以看到有炉、瓶、盒以及与之相关的香工具。我们首先把炭点燃，然后用特制的纯银香工具把香炉里的灰堆成一个适合的形状。堆好这个形状以后，我们用香针在中间开一个炭孔，炭孔的大小要跟今天我选用的香炭合适。用香刀把香材切一些小末出来，然后将这些细末放在纯银的隔火银叶上。这个时候我们的炭也燃烧到合适品香的程度。我们把炭放到刚才的炭孔内，用银针把炭顶上的灰剥下，把炭完全遮掩住。再在整个小山包的表面用花压做出一圈花纹，然后把刚才切好的香料放在小山包的顶端。炉主先自己品闻，然后传递给下一位客人。如是一圈，当香炉回到炉主手中的时候，炉主可以再品闻一下香味，然后在香鉴上用比较诗意的句子描写下来，这就是一个完整的香席过程。
Dating back thousands of years, incense has always carried with it a philosophical and spiritual purpose. Ziyuan isn't simply about buying or even making incense. It's about tapping into an ancient way of understanding our world and finding peace among the clutter. With artwork and fashion inspired by Mauritius, O Marketing recently held a celebration at Shanghai's Yacht Club to celebrate the 47th Mauritius National Day. The island of Mauritius has become a hot honeymoon destination for many Chinese couples, but there's a lot more to offer than just crystal clear water and silver sand. So book your days off work early and really enjoy the island vibe.
Okay, that wraps up today, and that's all from me too, as this is my final episode.
So, what's next for the Great Dash?
Definitely not musicals, too much pressure.
What then?
Well, I was thinking about working on my Tai Chi style, so I could become a Tai Chi master.
You look kind of young to be a master.
Hey, it's what's on the inside that counts.
Okay, good luck. See you guys next week, and I'll see you around.
Farewell. you might be very interested in this next segment.
Why is that?
Because, I don't know.
I think that has to do, I think that has more to do with the person than the idea.
Hey, what is that supposed to mean? Doesn't this look like a face you can trust? Definitely not musicals. Too much pressure.
Then what? Dance. No.
Oh.
But I did not know musicals needed to push boundaries.
Anything needs to push the boundaries. What? I don't know. Yes, our New York team has found something called installation opposites.